You are Locked On Astros Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Houston on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Oh, yeah. The most important weekend of the season. The Astros need every one of these wins, and they got the first one tonight. Okay, kidding. They don't need any of these wins because these games do not matter the last 3 days of the regular season. But you know what? Might as well go out there and win them, right? And that's exactly what they did tonight in Cleveland in game one of the 3-game series this weekend to kick off the final weekend of the regular season before the postseason starts on Tuesday at Minute Maid Park. And they do it tonight by a final of 5-2 to pick up win number 87 of the season. Hello and welcome to the on Astros Postcast tonight. I am your host, Michael Connor. If you're new to this channel, as I always remind you, please hit that subscribe button. It would be greatly appreciated. We're continuing to grow this channel. Going to be a busy weekend across it. Tomorrow we've got Astros and Cougs tomorrow night. Sunday we will have Texans and Astros. So again, very busy weekend on this channel, and I appreciate you guys, of course, stopping by for this. And then we'll be busy starting again next week when the Astros get back into action for postseason action. Tonight's episode is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah, the right stay can make you a fan of any city, even your baseball rivals. Book today on Booking.com, the official accommodation partner of Major League Baseball. Get the Booking.com app today. All right, so let's go through some things, right? I think the one thing from the baseball game that you take away tonight is that the Astros, they decided to bring up DeZenzo to get some looks out of him. And they want to get some looks because, look, the unfortunate truth is they can talk whatever they want to talk and say that he's progressing quickly and whatnot. They very well could be without Yordan Alvarez in the wild card round. You don't know. I don't know. They might not even truly know at this moment. So there's going to be an available spot to get some at-bats. Is he a perfect option? No, of course not. I mean, look, we can all be honest with it. They lose Yordan, they could probably survive the wild card round. They know that they're going to play in that wild card round, and they know that one of the teams that they could play is locked in. Detroit tonight. Congratulations to former Astros manager A.J. Hinch. The most improbable team to get in there based on this season. And they were just, they didn't look like a postseason team at any point this year. They were below 5. They had some moments early in the season, I think, where they were above it. They played great baseball down the stretch, and they're in the postseason. It's either going to be them or going to be the Kansas City Royals. As it sits right now, it's Kansas City. Detroit has a 1-game lead on them. I need to see if Kansas City is playing tonight or if they've already played. I do not know. I would assume that they've probably already played. They already played. They lost to the Braves. So it's looking more and more likely it's going to be the Royals who are limping into the postseason. They're still not secure there because the Minnesota Twins, 2.5 games back. I need to see what the Twins did tonight as well. That's what we do live on the show when the games don't matter. The Twins are getting their butts kicked. So I think they get eliminated tonight. So I think it's going to be set. Not going to be set on who the Astros will play, but I think Kansas City will technically, they'll secure, right? Because they lost tonight. And it won't happen yet. Okay, I guess it could happen tomorrow. I don't know. Don't ask me to do all this math and mumbo jumbo in my head as I'm going along. All I know is that they are going to play one of those two, and the odds are that they're going to play the Kansas City Royals right now, based on the way that everything's going, which is fine. Again, Kansas City's playing like absolute butt going into the postseason. The Astros could survive a series against a wild card team without Yordan. Would it be great? No, of course it wouldn't be great. And I think I'm looking at it now. Yeah, Minnesota's going to be eliminated tonight when they lose. So, or whatever. Doesn't matter. They're gonna play the Royals. It's gonna be a rematch of the 2015 ALDS. And I think this one's gonna go a little bit better. Now all the games will be at Minute Maid, which is nice. They're gonna win that series. They have to have Jordan for the ALDS and on, so he can get rest through what they play the wild card round next Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then I think there's a day off, probably Friday. And then they play again Saturday or Sunday, whatever it is, for the start of the ALDS. They just need him for that. Do they? I mean, they actually do need him for, if he could play in the wild card round, you need to have him play. I mean, if he could DH, if he can get through a DH, and you got to have that bat in the lineup. But they brought up DeZenzo. I say all this to bring up the point. They brought up DeZenzo to get a look. And he went back down to AAA. They asked him to shorten some things up in his swing, change his hand position a little bit, get the swing a little bit refined so he could handle some of the big league stuff. Tonight, did strike out 3 times, but, man, that was a whopper of a home run. I mean, just crushed, like 440-plus feet out there to center field. I mean, just a bomb. I think you see a lot of little, like when he's played, I think you see a little bit of the with him. Okay. Intrigued. And you're always looking for a guy that can come up and give you a spark, right? I mean, every you go back to all the postseason runs, there's always somebody that you're not expecting. I'm not saying that he's going to be that guy, but I mean, look at the 2022 postseason run. David Hensley made the roster. David Hensley had one of the most clutch at bats you could have in game 1 of the ALDS where he drew that walk, set everything up. And then he eventually was the starting DH. It was 1 or 2 of the games in the World Series. And I think he had a hit or something. David Hensley. You can go back to your Marwin Gonzalez's of the world when he had his, runs, whether it was that series in Cleveland. Like, there's always going to be somebody. Doesn't mean it's going to be DeZenzo, but he comes up here this weekend, gets the at-bats, and looks okay. And he makes the roster. I mean, you need a pinch hit or something somewhere. You got confidence in him. Maybe that's what they're looking for. You're always looking for just who's hot, who's feeling it at that moment. That's what this all goes back to. All this that they're building up to. It's about getting hot at the right time. And I know that these games this weekend do not matter at all. They mean nothing. Don't get worked up. Don't get hot and bothered. Don't overreact to anything that you see this weekend. Like Josh Hader goes out there and stinks in the ninth. Doesn't matter. It does not matter. It does not matter. Don't work yourself up over it. It's stupid to do it. You are wasting your energy. I'm telling you that right now. They are going through the motions. Can you have concerns about certain things throughout the entire season? Sure. But if you have decided tonight that Josh Hader having a bad outing in a game that has zero consequence is the Astros bullpen now is just not going to make it in the postseason. Well, I would suggest, in all seriousness, finding a different hobby because that's living miserably. And what's the point? So, don't take anything too seriously this weekend. But you do, I think, want to go in having good reps at whatever you do, whether you're a pitcher, having good outings at times. So you could make that case for Josh Hader, okay, it's not great. Maybe you give him another outing tomorrow if you feel like going back-to-back days and let him shake it off, which he'll do. And also, closers in non-save situations, you guys know how that always goes. They're going to come in and give up runs. At the end of the day, they had a 5-0 lead. Did he protect the 5-0 lead? Yeah, they won 5-2. Okay. We get too nitpicky sometimes. It is what it is. But whether it's a pitcher going out and having a good weekend, whether it's a hitter going out and putting together some good at-bats, also, don't forget about the cat and mouse games these guys play this last weekend as well. Teams now that these games don't matter for the Astros necessarily, I know that this sounds crazy to you, But there is a story out there from, oh, God, who told me this story? It was Steve Sparks on the radio that he was talking to Bregman, and Bregman told him, I think it was the 2017 postseason. And I never asked Bregman this story, and I should have. But in that 2017 lead up to the postseason, they were finishing the final series of the regular season. I can't remember who they were playing. And I know that he said he intentionally went out there and got jammed at the plate for an entire weekend so that the advanced scouts that were there would think that he couldn't get to a fastball on the inside part of the plate based off of recent what they've seen. And then he crushed like 2 home runs in the series off inside fastballs. He was just totally duping them. Like, stuff like that's happening this weekend. I know that it might sound crazy to you guys, but trust me, that's how baseball, those people work. Players they're just maniacs. But at the end of the day, you want to put together some quality so you go in feeling good. You're going to get a day off on Monday, right back to the action on Tuesday. The pitching tonight was nice for the Astros. Let's discuss the pitching when we return to the Locked On Astros Postcast. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.5 APY on uninvested cash, receive unlimited 1% deposit bonuses, and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on an IRA account. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply for product-specific disclosures. Visit Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rate may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC. Locked On Astros Postcast on a Friday night. Thank you very much for stopping by and watching the show. Appreciate you guys taking some time. Look, I'm going to be honest, you don't have to do this tonight. You don't have to be here because, again, these games don't matter. And I do appreciate you still showing up. We've been strong at it all season long. I meant to go and look at when we started this show because I know Locked On called me, and I am so greatly appreciative of them giving me the call and wanting me to do this. They called me, it was like a week before the season started, and asked me if I was interested and told me to take a couple of days. I already knew. I mean, look, I decided, I've told you guys that a long time ago, that if you've listened to me on the radio in years past, I was good. I finished that portion of my life. This was a way to stay connected, right? And this was very cool. So I'm going to stay connected in this way. We've been going since April the 5th. So we missed like the first series of the season, the Yankee season, and we started against the Rangers. And this channel has grown like crazy since then. The ride has been unbelievable. We got a couple more regular season games to get to. I think I looked at it the other day. I think we only missed like 5 regular season games, maybe 6 the entire season this year, which that's cool, right? It's fun. I'm glad you guys are always here. And for real, I appreciate that. If you're looking for this show wherever you get your podcast, go search for Locked On Astros. You'll get this show and the Locked On Astros show. And it's free. I'm sorry, I blanked on it for a second. It's free wherever you get them. It's great. And you'll get this show and the Locked On Astros show with Brett and Eric. Go check them out as well. They do a great job talking about your Astros. I'm sure they will be doing plenty of that over the next few days, getting ready for the postseason, which I am also ready for. This show will be live. Hopefully it will be live as soon as the game ends Tuesday. You know, my schedule and everything, you got life too going on with what's going on in my real life now. So hopefully the Astros don't get a middle of the day game on Tuesday, because that happens, we might miss the first game of the postseason. I know it should be good for game 2, but I'll keep you guys updated on that, of course. Tonight, the Astros got good pitching. I know Hader at the end wasn't good, but the guys that were sandwiched in between him. Ronel Blanco, early on in the baseball, good finish to his season. What a season for Ronel Blanco. Again, this is a guy that nobody expected this season to do this. Last year, he was kind of tough to watch when he came up at times, and other times he was okay. But the guy appeared in 30 games, 29 of them starts this year. Tossed a total of 167 in the third innings. Where would the Astros be without that? I don't know. Of course, his first start of the regular season was a no-hitter against the Blue Jays. But ended up going 13-6, 2.80 ERA, which I believe was second or third in the American League. Phenomenal. Finishes the season with opponents batting average below 200 at 190, whip 1.09, 166 strikeouts to 68 walks, allowed 114 hits total on the season, and was about as steady as they get for most of the season. He had his moments where I thought he looked a little worn out, but I think he finished strong. I think he finished really strong to the season. He was a snub for the All-Star game when that came up. We all know that. He got crushed by the numbers game with the stupid, you have to have one representative from every team, even if there's guys there that aren't worthy of being there. But that's Major League Baseball for you. They just do that every single year. I know they're trying to get fan engagement and everything. But he was robbed of that. Not robbed of getting starts at the end of the regular season. Now it's going to be interesting to see what they do with him in the post. I think they're going to start him. They have to start him. Look, they can't not start him. Early on, he wasn't unbelievable tonight. He got – the first inning was a little tough. Got a good double play. I thought his command was a little off. He was missing a lot to the arm side, which, can happen when your body gets out in front of you. And I think that's really what you go back and if you look at it early in the game, his body was getting out in front of him. His arm was dragging behind, and that tends to lead towards missing towards the arm side. But he found his way, and I think that's kind of the theme for the guys that you can rely on is that even if they go out and they don't have their best mechanics on that night, or their stuff just isn't breaking, or whatever it might be, they still find a way. And he found a way tonight. He got through 5. They weren't going to push it, and there's no reason to push it in a game that, doesn't matter. He's at 86 pitches, raining all night. And I like the fact that they went to Arrighetti. Now, Arrighetti, man, he blew a gasket there at the end, didn't he? That was a preview of Arrighetti in the postseason right there. What he can give you, multiple innings, and get you some serious outs, I think, in the postseason in those kind of spots. He's kind of the safety net for if they go out there in any of those games and the starter comes out and just, throws up all over himself, which hopefully doesn't happen. I think we all feel confident in Framber Valdez going out there and doing his thing. We all feel confident in Hunter Brown going out there and doing his thing. And I know that they feel confident in those players as well. But look, you have to live in reality of the world too. You're just as likely, to, even if you're a dominant pitcher, to go out there and have a rough outing and need that situation as you are to go out there and have a good outing. It's the postseason. It's such a fickle beast. It just truly is. Guys sometimes get to the bright lights of it and can't handle it, and there's other guys that are great in it. And then there's some guys that go up and down with it. Framber. You go back and look at his postseason track record. 2020, unbelievable. 2021, not so good. 2022, unbelievable. 2023, not so good. That means you're primed for a good one this year. But you have Arrighetti in these situations to where, he can back up guys that are maybe having a rough night. We'll talk a little bit about him in a minute, about the Verlander aspect to all this. I just don't think that you're going to see him make a start this postseason. I think it would just be, again, malpractice, but we'll talk about that in a second. But Arrighetti's kind of that safety net. And a guy that can spin it the way that Arrighetti does with the breaking stuff can be a lethal weapon for a baseball team in the postseason. So I think that he can play a pivotal role. Think of Brad Peacock in the past. Think of who else they put in the bullpen in those years. Charlie Morton worked out of the bullpen a little bit. Lance McCullers worked out of the bullpen. They found those guys, those starters, to go out there and give him something. Hopefully he can go out there. Hopefully he's ready for the moment. I think based on everything we hear from him, he's ready for the moment, you're never going to know till you go out there and do it. So I think it's a good weapon to have. But it also kind of means, look, it doesn't mean you're in trouble. We all survived Zach Greinke starts in the postseason forever. He'd go out there and give up one run across 4 innings, but it was the most terrifying 4 innings of your life. And then you need somebody to come give you some length. So that's what he can do. So I thought that was good that he got the opportunity to go out there tonight out of the bullpen, get one last outing in this regular season, and then set himself up for that role here shortly for this baseball team when they start off the postseason, again, Tuesday at Minute Maid Park, in all likelihood against the Kansas City Royals. We'll continue our discussion on why tomorrow is big for a few reasons. That's next here on the Locked On Astros Postcast. Like I told you earlier, this episode is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah. The right stay, of course, can make you a fan of any city, even your baseball rivals, like Cleveland. That is a city that I went to. I was there in 2018 for the ALDS, and the Astros, of course, swept that series, which was awesome. But I will give Cleveland this. Now, I don't necessarily think that you will go to Cleveland and be a fan of it, but you'll be a fan of their ballpark atmosphere. The downtown area is pretty good overall. Nice little area over there, the sports area. I like their ballpark a lot. And maybe the Astros are going to meet up with Cleveland in the postseason. It's a lot cheaper to go to Cleveland than some other cities. You could be going to Cleveland here soon. I always say, if you can ever go on a road trip for a postseason game, do it. Follow the Astros somewhere. Cleveland, New York, not Seattle this year, sorry, Detroit, whatever it is. Get out there and do it. They got with hotels, bed and breakfast, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more on Booking.com. You might just find your perfect stay again, even in your baseball rivals city this postseason. It's a great app. I've used it plenty of times myself. And as I mentioned, the right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even your baseball rivals. Go to Booking.com, Booking.yeah. One more message before we get back to our Astros discussion. It's for PrizePicks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. PrizePicks is the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy so that your lineups stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. If your player leaves the game in the first half and doesn't return, PrizePicks, your picks are still alive. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks, run your game. Locked On Astros Postcast for a few more minutes here on a Friday night. Thank you guys for stopping by and saying hello if you're watching this live. Hit that subscribe button if you're not watching it live. Hit the subscribe button if you've not done that yet. Would greatly appreciate it. We're on our climb towards 2,100 subscribers. That's how quick, again, this channel has grown since April, and I absolutely appreciate it like crazy. We can get there. I think we can get there in the postseason, for sure. I think we can get to 2,500 in the postseason, and you guys can make it happen as we watch the Astros go through the month of October and hopefully give us a lot more games to talk about. This channel, of course, not just about the Astros. This weekend we have Texans and Jags. Wade Smith and I will be live for that show, breaking that down. We got Cougars tomorrow taking on the Iowa State Cyclones. Probably not going to go very well for the Cougs, but we'll be here for a show. We'll also, of course, talk Astros tomorrow night after they get wrapped up with the Cleveland Guardians as well, which tomorrow night is important, I guess, to an extent. I don't think it's going to change anything. Justin Verlander is going to make his final start of the regular season. I think this is going to be it. I think this will be his last start in an Astros uniform. I always said it would be great to watch him finish here. I just don't think that it will happen now. The way that he has performed down the stretch and the way that his body is kind of broken down the last couple of years, he's 41 years old. they when there's that saying, you hear that saying, Father Time is undefeated. It is true, and it's not just a saying just to say it. It's true. It gets everybody. He can still throw hard when he needs to throw hard. He can't consistently throw as hard. He can't consistently land his breaking stuff. He can't consistently, get guys out the way that he used to with weak fly balls or strikeouts. He's getting more ground balls. He's getting a lot more hard hit, a lot more hard contact against him. He's just not the same pitcher. And I hope, look, if he's back next season, cool, whatever. You can't pay him a lot. He's not worth a lot at this point. He's 42. He's, looked terrible this season. But if he comes back as your fourth or fifth starter, fine, whatever. But part of me will be sad tomorrow to watch him go out there and take the ball, knowing that this is more than likely it, and then hoping it doesn't look bad. If it looks bad, it's not going to be fun. I thought that was one of the great things, even though it sucked to watch him leave after winning a Cy Young in 2022. And, the postseason wasn't great for him. He was great against the Yankees, of course. But overall, it was a little bit of a struggle in that World Series. But he got his first World Series when he fought through that game in Philadelphia in a tough environment. And I'll be honest with you, I was talking to somebody that night in the press box leading up to it, a former big league pitcher who was watching his bullpen session ahead of that game in Philadelphia. And I said, what do you think he's going to look like tonight? He goes, he looks terrible. He's like, everything looks terrible. And he went out there and it really wasn't very good, but he grinded through it because, again, that's what the greats do. They grind through it. And I hope that tomorrow night he can grind through it if he's not his best. Because if this is the last time that he dons Astros as a major league player across his chest that Houston had on, man, it's been one hell of a run. It's been an absolute joy to watch him pitch. I mean, the guy from 2017 through 2020, he wasn't bad last year when he came back. He was respectable. He wasn't great, but he was respectable. This has not been that. But the guy was just a magician. That 2017 season coming in when he would go 5-0 down the stretch, he was great in the postseason that year. He was a tough luck loser in the World Series. Like, he was awesome in the start, just didn't win. 2018 was unbelievable. Should have won the Cy Young that year. 2019, the battle with Garrett Cole. I've never had more fun in my life watching baseball than that 2019 season until that World Series. 2020 he made one start. I'll never forget that season. I went to his one and only start. I was in Minute Maid Park, one of like 50 people maybe in Minute Maid Park in the middle of July or whatever, watching the Astros play. It was the most bizarre experience of my life. I've been very lucky. I've gotten so many great experiences in sports. That one I'll never forget. Like, that one is always going to stand out. I'm in an empty stadium and they're playing Major League Baseball with no fans in the stands at all and fake crowd noise pumped. It was just so weird. So weird. But obviously Tommy John had to happen. Missed 2021. 2022 came back, and I really thought he wasn't going to come back, but look, they made him the 1-year offer. He decided to come back instead of going to the Blue Jays. Made the right move. Wins the World Series, wins the Cy Young again. And I do think that he will always go into the Hall of Fame with that Tigers hat on. He spent more years there than he spent here. I think it was 11 or 13 years in Detroit. 13 years in Detroit, 7 years in Houston. His stats pop more in Houston for 7 seasons. His stats pop in Detroit, but as it stands right now, 129 starts as an Astro, 72-28, 2.7 ERA, 957 strikeouts and 804 innings, whip .916 across all those 804 and a third innings. He'll go in as a Tiger, but he accomplished more as an Astro. He won 2 Cy Youngs here. Like I mentioned, he should have won a third. Blake Snell did not deserve that Cy Young in 2018. That should have been Verlander's that year. It was an absolute abomination that he did not win that award that season. He threw another no-hitter here. Part of me hopes that you see an Astros hat on him, but I'm just going to soak it in tomorrow night, and I hope that he gives us one last look of Justin Verlander. He's 4-6 this year with a 5.55 ERA. Just get one more win, man. Just get one more win. He's going to go up against Ben Lively. After that game wraps up tomorrow night, 5:10 first pitch will be live with the postcast right here on this same channel. Again, thank you for joining us tonight. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Don't be a stranger. Come back tomorrow night as we will break it all down, Astros and Guardians, right here on the Locked On Astros Postcast.